for tuning in. My name is Donna Craddock. I'm here at the Doc Bookshop, and we are doing our panel. We're dealing with apathy to civic engagement, and we have an awesome panel here today. It's actually comprised of authors. Authors are going to be dealing with politics today. Okay, you have to go back and look at our live to hear about their wonderful books that they have. My name is Diane. But they have some great books. Ronald Jones got his book. You know what? If someone can bring his book up, I just want to still show his book. And if someone can bring Beasley's book up, I want to show their book. But because Michael Beasley is an author and Ronald Jones is an author, and so
Thank you.
yes, yes. And so just kind of show you books. Yeah, so these are authors here, but these authors, we're going to also deal with politics because, as writers and authors, you got to engage with what's happening now, right? And right now, we know there's an emphasis on the next 60 days, looking towards November and the significance of the election that's coming up. There's so many events going around town that's dealing with that even today. There's events going on dealing with preparing and mobilizing for the next 60 days. And so one thing about the Soulfest is that we like to deal with topics that pertains to our community. Like last year, we dealt with Katrina because it was 20-year anniversary for Katrina. So we dealt with the whole Katrina and aftermath and all that. So this year, we've been hearing a lot about election, vote, make sure you vote. You got to vote. It's important. You cannot mess up on this one. And so we said we want to incorporate that with the Soul Fest because again, we want to deal with issues that concerns our community. And so we put together a panel here of some authors who are politically minded as well. They got great books. So I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. For those who don't know, quickly introduce yourself. We're gonna start with Charles. We'll end with Dr. Jones. But I want y'all to introduce yourselves and give a shout out to your book as well.
Good afternoon. I'm Charles Beasley. I authored The Queens of Drapetomania, and this is dealing with resistance, and that ties in with what we need to do in the next 100 days to resist what's going on in D.C.
My name is Danya Craddock, co-owner of the Doc Bookshop and manager of American Reading Council and a member of the American Booksellers Association.
Ronald E. Jones. Book is Reflections Forward, covering 8 decades of my life, but focusing on specific seasons. As a former 3-term mayor, I will definitely engage in the political arena and what we should be considering. All things are political. Politics impacts everyone's life, whether you want it to or not. I know the section was about apathy.
Yeah.
And
There's a lot of apathy.
problem.
Mm-hmm.
Apathy, lack of interest, lack of enthusiasm comes from a Greek word. The etymology of the word apathy is, I studied Greek too. Apathos, I forgot, but it means lack of feelings. Lack of feelings can cost you. Everything's political. Point, when I was promoted to assistant city manager, over 15 departments, handling millions and millions of dollars, thousands of people, you quickly realize the power is in the politics. Because all I did was implement and carry out administratively what the city council and the mayor dictated. So I realized if I wanted to have a big impact, I needed to be mayor. Me, not no one else. That sounds vain, but so.
Okay, well, it makes sense. Okay, so let me get started with my first question. Just kind of share with us your feeling right now as far as the political climate, what's happening right now in the world with the White House and all that's going on. What is your right now? Where do you stand as far as your feelings?
The last 10 years have really taken up all of the oxygen out of the entire country. It has just sucked the entire oxygen energy and has really changed the dynamic of this country. not for the better, unfortunately. And so, as time has went on, I think people have begun to become much more and more disillusioned, and they don't think they go to the voting booth, they do what they need to do, and they don't think they're going to get results. 24 was a backbreaker because Kamala Harris got a lot of votes. She got a lot of support, but just still ended up falling short because a lot of people participated in apathy. You had 90 million people in the United States of America that would have rather went and got a thing of yogurt than to contribute toward who's going to lead their country. And that's unconscionable. We can't have that happen in the midterms.
Okay, now you want to share?
Oh.
Go ahead.
What do I feel that is going on right now?
Get your feelings right. Where are you?
Yeah. We have got to organize. The key word is organize. And we should not be in a situation where anybody takes the black vote for granted. You have got to, there are certain things that you have to require, should be required as a community, as a culture. We have to create an agenda. They had it when, what was it, when they were going through, when Trump was going through election, they had the book, I can't think of the book, it was, what was the name of that book? I have a brain fog. Anybody know the book?
Art of the deal.
Not the art of the deal, but it was a Project 2020. Yes, yeah, it was an agenda. It was a plan, and I can't blame somebody for having a plan. And now they're executing that plan. They're executing that plan line by line, word by word, and organizations are involved in this plan. Groups are involved in this plan. They own that plan. Now it's time for the Black community to own a certain plan. What is your plan? Project 2025 has been executed, is being executed. And a lot of folks did not get out to vote,
90 million.
did not care to get out to vote. Even this last voting term, they did not get out to vote. But then we have the same ones that are complaining, oh, now Head Start is only 2 hours a day. And then which now what are you going to do with your children? Then you don't get benefits for your children to go to daycare. So what's going to happen after that? There are so many things that are in place, so much money that have been pulled from the poor and the working class, and while the rich class save their money and implement their money, and we are beholden to that class. So where do we move from here? That's the climate. You have this caste system that Isabel Wilkerson has defined in her book. And so we have to figure out where do we go from here? Because it's here, it's amongst us, it's operating. And November is going to be a decisive moment in history. We're at that 250 mark, and now we're at another mark that's going to be very decisive in terms of where we go from here. What do we do? How do we move? We are in another historical moment, and are we going to come out on top? Are we going to have a plan? Are we going to have a plan that's going to benefit the next generation to come? We are going to be in a side where we're going to always be working together. There's no such thing as a homogenous society. It's very diverse. And so we have to, in this diversity, we have to figure out how everybody is going to coexist without killing each other. And so what does that look like? How do I feed my family every day? How do I enrich my community? How do I enrich my culture? All of that is on the table right now. We are in such, to me, a decisive moment. We are making history now. And what we do now is going to be written about 250 years later. Are we going to be stupid, where all we did was dance? Or are we going to be somebody that had a plan? So,
Very good.
You got it.
I have one. Winning matters in politics. Who wins ultimately make the rules, and all rules, all regulations, locally, nationally, statewide, impacts all of our lives. Whether what chemicals go into the water, what the speed limit is, what street is paved first, what the utility rates will be, the water rates will be, everything is decided by politicians. To organize means first we should have individual responsibility to be engaged, to be involved. I'm in a plethora of organizations, fraternity, life member, fully paid NAACP, church organizations. I can name 6 or 7. And many of them have diverse views of what's going on. But I make sure and I encourage us to demonstrate that we are individually involved, engaged, and knowing what's happening, not parroting what we're hearing. I talk to young men in my church now who many times come up to me and ask for advice. And it's about some legislation. I said, have you read it? Most of the time they said no. I recommend they pull it up, Google it, and just get the main elements of the bill. I used to have to do that for a living, before I was even mayor. So I make sure I know I'm not parroting what people are saying. And then I engage and I stay involved, and we have to work toward a goal that we all agree on. Now, we talked about we're not all homogenous, we're not monogamous, we have differences of opinion. And one thing, and I'll share this with you, people will take you for granted. I was at a meeting, I'll never forget this. When you're mayor, you sign a contract. Let me just give you some insight. Why do people become mayor? Well, I don't want to put a broad brush. It doesn't pay a lot of money, even if you're a strong mayor form of government. But contracts, millions and hundreds of $1 millions of contracts are issued each year, capital programs and everything. So that's one reason people run for mayor and organization, and business people want their people in place. So I'm mayor and I'm invited to a reception, multimillionaires in Dallas. When I get to the meeting, there are, to my surprise, elite Democrats and Republicans at that meeting. They were talking about a common project and subject. And something came up. Now I'm sitting in as mayor now, trying not to be puffed up with pride and arrogance, but I'm feeling pretty good. And they were talking about an issue, and they said, we really got to get the agents to support this. And they talked back and forth. And then one other one said, where are the Hispanics on that? They said, I think we would have, but we got to make sure we dedicate somebody. And they talked about what they're going to do to get the Hispanics. And they kept on talking. I said, excuse me. I said, David, I didn't plan to call her name. I said, my people, have you addressed African American? Other guy looked at me and said, Mayor, we don't worry about the African American. They would have. I said, beg your pardon? You mean you taking us for granted? Mm-hmm. He looked at me again. No offense, Mayor. We don't worry about African American. And they went on with the meeting. So when you said that, it made me think of that. So wow. You have to make sure you don't let people take you for granted. Wow. We know that's real. That's real world stuff. I mean, right. Because it matters, and we can't always wait for someone else to do it. You didn't wait for somebody else to write that book. You wrote it. You did the same thing and I did. And that's what we have to do here. Be involved, engaged, and be an example. Because voting matters, and we make sure we're going to vote and encourage others.
I think that's the thing at the last election is like Biden said, if you don't vote a certain way, then you're not black or whatever the quote was. But again, that's along the lines of taking our vote for granted. We have to item by item. We have to analyze how does it impact us as a people. A lot of different groups are taking care of their group. How are they going to work? How are they going to make their money? How are they going to get their food? How are they going to deal with immigration issues? All of these are on the plate that many organizations, many cultures, many ethnicities deal with. And we should not be no short of dealing with things that impact our families, our children, and what everybody else wants. I can't argue the man that take care of his family. It makes sense. But we have to do it with the same energy, the same level of intelligence of taking care of our family and making sure there's a survival for our heritage and our people.
Okay, because I'm stuck with the.
Okay, the taking the African American vote or people for granted. How can we ensure that that doesn't happen going forward? Like, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, first of all, I'm curious to know as to why you think that is. Why you think that is? But then, how can we ensure that it doesn't that doesn't happen?
Mm, very, very interesting and loaded question.
I'm just-
So in 2016, we saw the Republican Party have a hostile takeover, with Trump turned the Republicans from Republicans to MAGA. Republicans are no longer Republicans, they're now MAGA. It's a totally different party. The Democrats were beginning to do something similar with Bernie, and Hillary poured cold water all over that and cooled that whole process off. The Bernie voter was the excited voter, the younger voter, the more left, more progressive voter. And so the Democrats have not went through their moment of reckoning like the Republicans have. And so all of what you're talking about, not taking our vote for granted, renegotiating the terms, all that is stuff that's going to have to happen. But we got to get out of this ditch first. And so I hate to do the vote blue no matter who, but if it's going to help us get out of this ditch called MAGA land, we got to do that first, and then we can start renegotiating what the Democratic plank and party platform is going to be. But you're right. Your vote should not be taken for granted. Don't just say we got that in the bank already. No, earn it.
Yeah, and I was always told by my mother, don't show your hand. And that means even though we know that you have the power, we know that you probably have ultimate control, we're still going to go to the table as though as we have as much riches and gold as you. And so again, I know, in terms of one party may have more of our interests, but at the end of the day, we cannot be we have to be uncompromising. We cannot go in there and just lay down. We have to say, no, this is some of our demands and hold them to it. Not just say sometimes they tell you what they're going to do and then they don't do it. So they get into office and they make you feel good, but where is the action? Where is the accountability? That's what we have to do is find the accountability, hold people accountable. And the guy he used to run, oh God, got another brain fog. State of the Black Union, he wrote the book Accountability. And Tavis Smiley. That thing went back, but it's still some genuine nuggets about accountability, you know, and everything he did, he made one comment, which I don't think was a good comment, but what he did historically in terms of the state of the Black Union and holding accountability and the plan for accountability was ingenious, and that needs to be brought back and brought to the table. And when people in power are seeking to get into office, and they want to meet with the community, we should be organized. And when we come to the table, this is what we want. This is what our demands is. This is what we need in terms of education. We need to control education. We need to be a part of the education system, the education process. Unfortunately, TEA has taken over our Fort Worth ISD. How did that happen? Well, it starts at home at this particular time. Yes, now your kids in Head Start are going to start they only get 2 hours, I think. And then because the funding has been taken away. So what are you going to do as parents to be a part of the educational process of your children? Your children you have a children, she has a children's book. They will go in and buy all the hair weave and all the stuff and won't buy the books for their children. I will see the children tugging on the door, and the parents go, well, we ain't gonna do that right now. But then you go to Jenny O and then get products for your hair. Well, now you just told your child where your value system is.
Mhm.
So we had to rebuild the family. We had to rebuild the family values. And like he just said, unfortunately, we have to come back. We got to almost start at scratch again because we done got away from the value. We done got away from who we are. We should understand history. We should study history. We should know more about ourselves. I was reading Ayaan Hirsi, I can't think of the name of her book, but she's out of the Horn of Africa, Somalia, a poor country, very poor. But kids cannot even go to school unless they know so much in history. And in terms of their lineage, they have to know 200 generations. And if we study the Bible said such and such begins such and such begins such and such. That is ancestral lineage. Why is it there? It's called foundation. And we've taken we get so spooked by calling out the ancestors, not knowing we're setting a foundation for our family. So everything is so much that has to get back into order. And it has to get back and find value in our church again. We have gotten so caught up in this vibe culture. This vibe culture has robbed us of our church. This vibe culture has robbed us of our community. Because guess what? I'm creating a vibe. So I'm going to go out there and do a pop-up and vendors and turn our businesses into pop-up and vendors while we lose position in the retail space. So now you have Asians taking over your community. You have Arabs taking over your community. You don't operate the vendor, the business in your community because guess what? Everybody told you we need a vibe culture and go ahead and do. I love pop. I do pop-ups and vendor all the time, but I do a pop-up and vendor to come back into the space because we need a foothold in our community. Okay.
Oh,
No, sorry.
I'm sorry. Now you go too long, like just pull you in a little bit.
Don't get me started. I tried to say.
she definitely does not have apathy. She's excited. One of my refrains has been for decades when I say you run for office. Now, if you set aside with being part of the crowd that waiting on the one running for office to come meet with you, and you sit up there and raise your hand, are you gonna do this? Do you promise to do that? What do you think they're gonna say? They're gonna say what they think you wanna hear. And when they're in office, it's hard to recall someone. Locally, statewide, it's very hard. They know they'll be there for a term. I'm one that I wanna know. People in my fraternity will tell you, and the bulk of them are one persuasion, but I know before I vote, I know before I engage, and they won't ever tell me in my fraternity or in the NAACP, vote blue no matter who. They know I don't fall for that. That tells me that anyone, character, flaws, competency not there, if they happen to get on the ticket, I'm gonna vote for them. No way. Not me. That's just me personally. You see what's going on politically nationwide now. What you see with the DSA now was something similar to the Tea Party years ago. Tea Party was a little different though, because I knew a lot of those players, and I'm watching the DSA use the infrastructure of the Democratic Party to get in, and party leaders use one refrain, and those who know the Bible will know what I'm saying. You hear the leaders, they love to say this. We're a big tent. Time they say that, I always think of Matthew 7, chapter 13th and 14th verse. I'll quote it for you. Matthew 7 chapter, Jesus says this. Enter the straight gate. For wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction. And many there be that find it. But narrow is the gate. And now straight is the gate and narrow is the way that leads to life. And every once in a while you find a passerby. Other day, King Jeffrey said, our party as a big tent, we're a broad party. My man went right on Matthew 7. Wide is the gate, broad is the way that leads to destruction. You have to know what's going on. Now, I understand what they're saying. Believe me, I've been candidate to the party conventions and all that. But I don't take that approach to it. But nevertheless, I understand it's about winning. But my refrain over and over, what are you going to do to be more involved, not only as a voter? Voting starts is number one. unless there's a reason you can't vote, you definitely should vote because your vote matters. Whether you win or lose, it still matters because you're sending an example and being an example, rather, to other people that it matters. So don't take that for granted. But think about if you don't have time to do it now. I'm at a point in my life I'm writing. I've done my sharing. You know, my wife managed my campaign, and 5 women ran my campaign. I got elected 3 consecutive terms, 80% of the vote, 90% of the vote. They told me, you give speeches, you stay out of the office. No, but I was raised with 4 sisters and a strong mama. Dad died early. But they taught me to be involved. My mother, back when I could vote, you know how old I had to be to vote? I think it was 21. It's a lot less now. But we couldn't wait to vote. Wasn't winning on anything, but boy, I'd go in there and close that little sheet and vote, pull that little tab down. And you keep being the way you are, because I love it, brother. You're contagious. Stay involved and stay engaged. And you're young enough to run for office. I'm putting that on your mind. You just,
Okay. Okay, one of y'all mentioned America's 250th. And I'm just curious, your thoughts on America and its relationship with race. And just your thoughts on that as we celebrate all year America's 250th.
It's a complicated relationship. It's a complicated relationship, but when it comes to our people were married to community. We had a long marriage to community. And in the 70s leading up into the 80s, we began to have an extramarital affair with a thing called individualism. We began to have heavy petting and kissing individualism until it went from that to a full-blown affair. And a man that's married, that's cheating on his wife with another woman, knows that eventually just those few stolen moments is not enough. She's going to challenge you to say, you need to leave your wife for me. And the Black community left the concept of community for individualism. We left what we knew for decades, centuries. We knew community, and we left that for individualism. When we talk about voting, voting is born out of community because we're doing this, we're casting this vote for the betterment of us all. Individualism, what's in it for me? And that doesn't work for us. That doesn't work for African-minded people. That does not work. We are a community-minded people. And when we delve into individualism, it crashes. And we're living the results of us making that choice to individualism. So 250 years of America, Black people knew one another as community. Hey, sister, hey, brother. Now is me, my, and I. And we got to figure out how to retrain that back to community. So we'll vote like a community, we'll live like a community, we'll love like a community, and we can begin to live like a community again.
Can I say something from just listening? Do you mind if I say something?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, you'll move right now, go right
Because I'm sitting here and I love what you're saying. I don't need that. I love what you're saying.
We need to hear you.
I love what you're saying. But I'm going to throw this at you. I'm a numbers guy. So I came to this country in 1968. In 1968, African American made up 13% in this
You
country.
came from where? You said you came to this country?
Yes, ma'am.
From where?
Jamaica. Jamaica is a melting pot of, we don't see colors. We go from the darkest to the lightest. There isn't such thing that I'm Black and you're white. It's all one. We're all Jamaicans. You can go there and see Chinese speaking Jamaican. And you look and say, wait, that guy's Chinese. No, he's going to tell you, I'm Jamaican. Color is not the problem. It wasn't until I came to this country that I was told that I'm Black. I didn't realize that. But anyway, 1968, 13% African American in this country. Can you tell me the numbers to this day?
probably 12.5%.
13%. Why is that?
What was the question?
I know it. To that.
1968,
Oh,
African American made up 13% of this country. To this day, where are we?
it's still stagnant.
13%. 85% of the male population that are black are incarcerated.
That's not true.
So guess what?
85%?
That's not true.
No.
85% of those that are incarcerated are male.
Oh, of the okay.
That are incarcerated are male.
Okay, and then Michael Eric Dyson did a number. He said 85 that are incarcerated for male, but he said they're actually in an age range from the 18 to 25 is probably about 20%. It's more actually that it's in college. So Michael Eric Dyson even broke it by age range. And he said that if you count all the, yes, it's that many, but in terms of college age, it's more men that are in college or the military than are in prison. Now, if you go long term from 18 to 85, yes, it's a lot of African American males in prison. So I just wanted to make sure I just want to clean that up because he made that difference. Like,
Right. And what I'm basically saying is that how do you control a group of people? That's how you control it. There was a statement made back in 2016 or 2015. We're going to make America great again, right? That statement still resonates. We're going to make America great again. So my thought process was, how are we going to make America great again?
Now, we didn't make the statement. Are you who made the statement?
No. There was a statement made. I didn't say black people made that statement.
No, I didn't say black. I didn't use the word black. I was asking you who made the statement.
Our current president.
Okay.
He's the one that said we're going to make America great again.
Yeah, we're gonna make America white again.
Well, we're going to make America great again.
What is your question?
So, but my statement that I'm trying to make is that there was a period that I always reflect back on. When you talk about making America great again, 1936, 1965, or 2008. Revelation is that we're going to make it 1965. Why is that? That was the first time we were able to vote. And we can take all of our votes because we know that when blacks turn out at 95% voting rate, guess who wins? Democrats win. When blacks turn out at a 95% rate, Democrats win hands down.
Yeah, okay.
you made some interesting points because, interesting enough, what part of Jamaica are you from?
It doesn't make any difference.
Okay, I'll just go from the part that I studied in, right? So I actually studied at UWI, right? And I lived in Papine for a minute. And so it was interesting to see the structure coming from the African American lens, like you came from the Jamaican lens, and now I came to Jamaica from the African American lens. And I seen the disappointment, how what I'm going to say, how the structure is from the dark skin to the light skin and that whole caste system. So you had, even in Jamaica, your darker complected were on the poverty level. They were impoverished. And the light skin, whether we want to say that Jamaicans are Jamaicans, there still was a structural difference between the African and the biracial group of people. And that's what systematic racism does. And in Jamaica, they left one group over another group empowered. And so that's what they did in Africa. That's why you have so much dissension in Africa. They pit one group against another group. That's called puppeteering. That is called playing the hand. That is called play. While you think we're all one, they are taking over the resources of Jamaica. She worked at Grace. So we understood how that whole corporate structure operated in Jamaica from the African American lens. I said, well, if it's mostly just like Africa, if it's mostly Africa, why aren't more people empowered? Why is the European have more power than the African Americans? So we have to look at all those different dynamics that exist because somebody stands to win in the system. And ultimately, it's not always the African, highly melanated, that is on top. It is another group on top, and Jamaica was still highly controlled by Europe.
Okay,
So I'm just
there's a
saying
lot
that,
going on here.
what I'm just saying is that, what I'm just saying, we cannot divide ourselves, because no matter where we're at in the Council of Nicaea, no matter where the black person was at, they were enslaved where they stood. So there was a systematic racism exists across the world that was set by the Council of Nicaea, and they did not care who you were. As long as you were black, melanated, they were going to enslave you. When we talk about the 250 years, the founding fathers,
Okay, you're giving us
said,
history lesson.
the founding father,
Wait,
Texas, the seventh star of the Confederacy, 250 years. They said the founding fathers were going to have to deal with this slavery, African oppression, African subjugation for decades and decades to come. But they were going to benefit of the resources of land across the world. And it's still amongst us today. We are still fighting what has happened 250 years ago. And we're going through the cycle. We haven't understand what Amos Wilson was teaching us in Blueprint to Black Power, how you can flip the page and learn from history. We're always starting over and over and over again, because we get into this divisiveness.
okay, done. Okay, thank you.
Texas is seventh star.
Okay, so you shared how your thoughts on race in the 250. Did you have anything to add to that?
I have a question. How many of you know of Mansa Musa? I want to kind of give you some hope. Most all of this, not should say all, a lot of discussion among our people go back to slavery, which I understand. We understood it. But do you know Mansa Musa was the most wealthiest man on the face of the earth? African American. Controlled a large empire. He was on top. All right, I just, my, so, they taught us a lot of history. I guess they teach it now. Even in politics, they don't teach civics. We knew all of that. And I'll just give you a little information. Growing up in Dallas, most until 1958, 59, most all the African American men I knew were Republicans. They all identified as it. Because they knew when they came to the 13th Amendment that freed the slave, that it was the Democratic Party that fought against that unanimously. When it came to the 14th Amendment that wanted to say they could be citizens, it was the Democratic Party that fought against it. When it came to the 15th Amendment that ultimately passed, it ultimately was the Republicans that had to push it over. So, we know all that history. And we know when the switch changed. The change came in the 60s and all of that. We know why it came. That was the time we were integrated in Arlington State College. And what I look at historically, and my uncle in Houston knew MLK well. My pastor at New Hope, at Drake James, he knew MLK well. They went well. They groomed us to integrate a college to get ready for everything they throw at you. And it was a lot. It was a lot. Taught us not to cry in front of anybody. Don't let them see your ruffles ruffle. Go home and cry in the pillow at night. You're going to have prejudiced instructors. You got to figure out a way to pass that course anyway. I mean, they groomed that into us, and we did. And so we fought to desegregate, to integrate. Come along, my grandkids now, graduating from Georgetown and all that. We need our own space. We need a dorm room or a floor just for us. And I was thinking, we fought hard to get in these schools. But then they explained what the difference is. But now when it comes to 250 years, we've made a lot of progress. We draw upon the experiences and the vibe that these former great leaders exhibited, and we take it to another level. We take it to another level. We're standing in the gap. So yeah, that's why I keep pushing. I'm looking at two dynamic, intelligent people that are competent. Think about an office you're gonna run for. Think about an office you're gonna run for.
I just want to go back. I'm sorry. I love Mansa Musa.
Oh, I
Right.
know. I was thinking about him when you kept saying how we been down. I was thinking about that some moves and all that history I read about it.
Okay, let me ask my final question. We're gonna take questions from the audience. Just hold your thought. Okay. Um,
I don't know why she
the last question, what strategy do you think we need to have for the next 60 days? What is the strategy for our community, particularly African Americans, for the next 60 days? What should we be doing? What is the strategy? Considering all that's on hand.
Sure. We should carbon copy South Carolina. When they put on the ballot to redistrict and to play those little games, the manipulation games in South Carolina, the black voters in South Carolina came out with a force that made them retract that. So here in Texas, I coined the phrase Talarico 10 million voters of Texas to turn that seat blue. We need to aggressively lobby and campaign towards that apathetic vote that usually don't vote. Go to the projects, go to the hood. The nightclub, have a Democratic representative stand outside when they come out and give them a flyer. Go to those people that normally have other things to do or don't think about politics. Politics is rights and resources, so it touches everybody's life.
Amen.
And they need to go after those votes. They want to go after the Bernie Sanders vote or the person that voted for Trump. Leave them alone. Let them do them. Go after the people that have not been voting traditionally. Get you your favorite rapper and let them come and help campaign, because those are the people that you need to come out.
Oh no, I was gonna say well said, and I shared two points. I'll never forget when Craig Watkins was elected district attorney. He's a member of my church. I taught him out in Sunday school. He and my son finished law school together and all that. But I'll never forget, individuals were saying they were voting. Craig's mother, Paula, deaconess at our church, father's a deacon, she called several of them up and said, no, you haven't voted. You haven't even registered. The deadline for registering is next week. She went through the rolls. So you made me think about that. We got to register. It seems trite, but it's not. And we got to get out there and vote. We have to vote. And the same thing happened with me. Now, my wife and those 5 women were running my campaign. So they had the logistics. And I got in the runoff. And then they went through the whole listing in the county, in the Garland area. They said, Ron, the majority of the African American population didn't even vote. I said, vote for me. She said, no, they didn't vote. So in the runoff, they went out. And then I went by a big margin. But their position was, we didn't think you had a chance. Never forget that one told me. We saw you out there working hard, giving speeches, putting out signs. And one of them said, I said, poor Ron, he think these people gonna vote for him. I mean, that was, but then they in the runoff they did, because they were in church and the preachers got involved. And there's nothing wrong with preachers saying vote. Yeah.
Okay, I might not have all my numbers. Greg, you might have to help me with some of these numbers. I know, right? So if we look at Talarico, right? Talarico had the white vote, he had the Asian vote, he had the Hispanic vote, right? And he won off all those different categories. Jasmine Crockett had predominantly African American vote, and she didn't need everybody else. I think she lost by how much did she lose by? It was close. She lost by Houston, okay? And so that means that there is power there.
Yes.
So Talarico needs the black vote.
Bingo. Bingo.
Gina needs the black vote. We need a contract with Black America. And that's what we need signed. Not, we don't need any more lip service to tell them what you're going to do. We have, if nothing else, Jasmine told us that we had the power. And what are we in, Malepia Sante in his book, I can't think of the name, what are we going to do with that power? How are we going to exercise that power? You have 60 days. Where is the contract? And I'm not the most intelligent person, in the room. We have a lot of journalists going on. Like, why are we not asking about the contract? Because other groups are doing it silently, but they're doing it. I guarantee you. He talked about, this is like full circle. He talked about just going in the meeting room. This is what we need to do for the Asian. This is what we need to do for the Hispanics. Now we have to bring a contract. It's not just us, it's our sons. My son is in trade. How can he grow in the trade business and own it and stop being, a servant of it? How can he grow and get the opportunities within organization? If he's going to be an electrician, how are they training him up to run a company? Are they training him to just continue to dig the ditches for them? We have to make certain rules and requirements across the board. How are the resources in America going to be distributed to that Black community that is educated, that have gone to college, that are now in trade school, that are now serving in the military? How are we going to benefit those families, that history, that heritage that have fought and died for this nation? I am a seventh generation Crack. I can go back. I was taught to know my lineage the best that my family could give it to me. And so I am going to operate on that foundation. And full circle, Jamaica. I would not have opened up this bookstore if it was not for the values of my Jamaican teacher. That's why that bookstore, she was insulted when I went there, not knowing the beauty and the power of what African Americans have contributed to the world. And she had us read one of my favorite authors, William Lanley, In the Castle of My Skin. So this is a full circle moment. So we have to say, how do we stop the divisiveness and operate and empower ourselves? Because that is how people are going to respect you. I can't deny the man that's going to build up his family, his culture, whatever. What are you going to do to build yours? And we have 60 days.
Yeah, 60 days. Okay. Thank you, Daniel. All right. So I'm out of questions. Does the audience have any questions, any concerns, any comments? Go ahead.
I've got a comment, and it's funny how the Lord places you in certain places.
My legs, y'all, I'm out of shape.
So I got a comment that I think is relevant. So prior to coming here today, I was with RISD in a meeting. They had a big PTA meeting, and all the principals, superintendents, everybody's in the room, right? And they were talking about mobilization. So I'm gonna tell y'all what their plan is.
Oh.
Their plan
What
is
ISD? You said RISD?
it happens to be RISD, but where my school district from where my son goes to
What
school.
does R stand for?
Richardson ISD.
Oh, well.
So, so that's where I was earlier prior to coming here. And there was a slide. So the first thing they do is they have the bullet points. What is it that we need to highlight, right? Then they have the numbers. They said, okay, we've been defunded not $39 million. Just in Richardson. It's coming from, they're stripping dyslexia, they're stripping pre-K, They've stripped gifted and talented,
Mm-hmm.
transportation,
Mm-hmm.
and special education.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what they're doing? They're getting on a bus and raising hell. And they say, I know you guys don't think that that matters. They goes, but knock on these doors of these Democratic offices. They'll take your call because they need your vote. Go on, they are literally orchestrating a bus to go down to Austin to make sure that people know what they need and what their agenda is. Because the way that they think about it is every time our students don't show up, it's costing us money. That's money that we can't put back into our schools to invest. And I think that's why we've gotten into a pickle here in Fort Worth, is because there wasn't that mobilization. So there is power in having that collective voice, those collective bullet points, because the people around us, that's exactly what they're doing. They're figuring out what's important, what we're asking for, and they're going down and they're making sure that they're heard. So I just wanted to say there's relevance to that.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that example. Thank you so much. Any other questions or concerns?
Thank you. I am author Tony B. Shelton, and my question is, what do you all think the economic impact, or what can economics and businesses do to influence these next 60 days from a political aim?
So I can. The economic funding is behind everything. It is. Funding is behind everything. So it depends on the business, depends on your board of directors, depends on the people. Nevertheless, you lobby businesses and the board just like you do the regular politician. Of the board of directors are the ones that make the decisions regarding the policies and the budgetary distribution of funds for the corporations. So that's why Jesse Jackson used to be so effective in this Rainbow Coalition. Yeah, that's the generation I'm from. When that was Xerox having a problem, call Jesse in. He go in and meet with the president, maybe a board of directors, somebody else, and he talk about we're going to continue these pickets, continue these processes that you think are disruptive, but we're drawing attention to your company until you work something out. So that's one way you lobby board of directors, office of the corporation, just like you do politics going to Austin. It's common for chambers of commerce and other companies, other organizations to have their Austin capital visit. That's when they all go down on the bus to meet with the legislators. And I will tell you, when you don't show up, it sends a signal that you don't care. When budgetary processes are taking place at the state level or the city level, there are issues on that agenda, capital projects, $1 million are gonna be spent, and they're gonna be spent in some district, and somehow, and what project is done first matters. If you're not there to speak on those issues, you're saying to the mayor and to the politician, whatever you decide is okay with me. You have to come down and make those statements. I'll send a letter and make it. But boy, when you put it in writing, we really pay attention to what's in writing. I mean, many times meet one-on-one, hopefully you don't have politicians saying you didn't say that, or I didn't say that. But it does matter. And so the economic impact, because everything requires funding.
Okay, great question. Did you want to add to that, Duncan?
Yeah, I just want to, a lot of us are working. You own a business, so you all, and I know you always working. You go from the East Coast to the West Coast, and so you're all over the country, right? And so when you're working, and they bank on that as one of the major distractions of working, because you have to find a way to survive. Let's just make sense out of this. Ain't nobody gonna go outside and dig a well to get water. Ain't nobody gonna flip a lighter to put lights on. So that stuff costs. So we're out there working. And so we have got to figure out what pack, there are a lot of packs out there. What pack can I be involved in that I can trust? Like I don't have to, I can't go down to the city hall meetings all the time. I just can't do it. because I am trying to sustain a business. So I got to entrust that those that can do it have my best interest. I have to entrust that those that I put into office and elect through concepts of Dr. Claude Anderson Powernomics is invested in that, giving money to those. You might have to take time to study that, or you could get with a pack that does have that discipline, like the fire, Jasmine Crockett Fire Pack. That's just because I don't know all the other packs out there. There's a whole bunch of packs out there. But as working class people, we have to figure out who can we trust. And it starts here it starts at the local level, like holding meetings, having these spaces that doesn't require the vibe. You know what I'm saying? And being okay with not being a part of the vibe culture. I'm like, it's a distraction right now because we have too much that we can lose right now where we're worried about, you can't do this because it ain't got the right vibe, it's not the right location, not this and not that. I don't have time for that. And so I need voices and people in the room that is going to be a part of this type of what Bandela used to call it at Pan African Resource Connection in Dallas. He used to call it I need people in the energy movement. And I'm like, you want somebody to do an oil and energy and get why now you talking community, now you just talking energy movement. And he said, say it again and say it again. And then I understood. I understood now more than ever. He needs somebody that has that energy, that has that force, that has that movement. That's what it's all about. And so us dealing with as business people and dealing with the economic crisis and how to contribute right now, we have to entrust that those that we give our money, that we give our donation to, that we give our ideas, that we come to these meetings, we're rolling up to the top where our voices are heard. There's a ladder and a structure to this thing, and we can all participate at the level that we are. We don't have to be this total elitist, that we can participate locally. And I would say, get with some of those PACs, participate in local organizations, and just connect, even if you can't be there. But you're always connected because you're always on social. You know what's happening all over. So that's like, I don't know why I'm telling you that, but still great. For other people that have not, that are that have the same question that you have, like, how do we do this? That is how you do that.
Thank you.
Is it called a fire pack? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, concerns?
Hello, I'm Christine Chadwick Moss, author of A Rose Amongst the Weeds. My concern is you talked about we all need to work together. We need a plan. So who would be the person or individuals that can pull all this together? Because you have different groups out there now that's working. Because I'm with a group, and my concern is how can more of us can work together? Because all of the walking, all of the telephoning, all the door knocking, you don't want to be repeating yourselves because it's so many. So how could we pull those groups together? Because you have that breakfast group, Simmons, that group, and Dr. Bell, and all the groups. So how?
Some of them are already organically connected. Example, in the Dallas County, the Ministerial Alliance, being a former, well, he always pastor. I'm pastor emeritus now. The African American Pastors Coalition, there are plans already underway being effectuated that parallel with plans in the NAACP, that parallel with plans in my fraternity, Omega Psi Phi fraternity,
Dallas.
and in our foundation, yeah. But we all connected. My DR is out of Arlington. The brothers and sisters, my Delta sisters. Well, we all.
NPHC should be leading some of this. Yep, in my opinion.
Okay, so there are interconnectivity already underway. And many of these leaders that are leading those various organizations are working together. Just one example, my frat brother that sponsored me is Central Royce West. So when he shows up, there's a master plan already underway. So I can tell you about the later.
Okay. And I know exactly what she's saying. It's Project 2025, okay? Where is our document for that? That's the ultimate question. We have all these pockets. We have in terms of our organization, we got the Swiss cheese effect going on. We got holes all over the place. We got different holes, doing things. That's the Swiss cheese concept. But now, how do we make that in a whole? Like Al Clay Powell, what's in our hands? What do we put in our hands to make it work? And so, that's what we're asking. And who owns that? Who should own it? We can't even come to an agreement about who should own it. Yes, we have the deltas are doing something, the omegas are doing something, the kappas are doing something. Everybody has their agenda. But who owns the master plan? That's where does it roll up? Where's the organizational structure? A company cannot exist if they don't have an org chart. And that's what she said. Where is our org chart? We got this, we got so many legs. We got the octopus concept. We have all these things working for us. But we need to say what's in our hand. And that's the question that's going back to Adam Clayton Brown. What's in your hand? What do you have? And so who do I think is the organization that can lead this? I'm still working it. I'm still working that through my head. I don't know.
Because time is ticking.
Yeah, time is ticking. You know,
Well, no, I'm just laying.
okay. He mentioned NAACP for fast pace it. It might be the NAACP that said, here's the plan. Like, here's what we compiled. Here's what is on everybody's agenda. And now, does the Ministerial Alliance agree with that? Does that agree with that? Does this agree with that? Is everybody going to roll this same concept down? I would say probably at this particular time, it might be somebody close to this.
Okay, well, that's something that sounds like we need to work through some more. I'm gonna
But
come.
the thought is there.
Yeah.
Thought.
Great question, Sister Moss.
Yeah, that was a great question, which kind of leads into my last question because I don't want to dominate the room. And I want to say hello. I'm Tony. I'm also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And so I'm a part of the Divine Nine. So my ears perk up when I hear folks saying who holds the work. My question, I hear people that mention the institutions of the church and the influence of rappers. So my question is, in regards to African American culture, who are the other influences besides the church and entertainers?
Something else to think about, huh? Who are they?
Yeah, you actually just answered it. We have a celebrity obsessed culture, and it didn't happen until a celebrity said it happened amongst a lot of our, especially the young people that's on TikTok and the different social medias. The new preachers for the kids are the rappers. The song is their sermon. And they pay their tithes when they download it. That's the new preacher. And so that preacher, until we show up for those young people in a genuine and authentic way to say we care, and we're not here to just judge you or put you down, those rappers are going to still have their ears. And who has the rappers' ears is the powerful studio executives that pay them. And they're not putting a message that's in the interest of our community. I talked about individualism a minute ago, and they are responsible in a big way of how we got to individualism, because that has been the driving message of a lot of hip hop is me, I. And we arrived at that place through the vehicle of hip hop. And sadly, to turn that car around is going to take some work. The first thing is just acknowledging that, yeah, this is where we have come. And now we need to go somewhere else. But yeah, we have awesome organizations in our community still. They're still here, thank God. We still have a Black church. We still have fraternities and sororities, but we got work to do.
Amen.
And I just want to say hip hop didn't start off that way.
It did.
So it didn't.
It did
It's not
start.
perverted. I just want you to know.
The cancel culture is so ugly and ferocious that the people that can stand up sometimes won't stand up because of this whole where this thing come from. I don't know. But as soon as you say something that somebody don't like, social media is so swift. Well, we're just gonna dislike you. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that because you said, women are the ones that have children. Well, yeah, I didn't say that. God said. I'm just using that example. I didn't say that. Again, we're on social media, but that's nature, But somebody don't like because you talked about nature, and so we have this cancel culture, and so now the person that can't speak won't say nothing because at the end of the day, they want to protect food, clothing, safety, shelter is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? And so we want to protect those things. Okay, you got Google reviews that's a part of people. You can't put a post up. Well, I'm going to give you a 1 because I don't like your post. Why have that become a determinant factor of how I operate as a business? Well, it is true. It is factual. It is here today. And so that has stopped where is the Malcolm X of the world? Where is the Dr. Martin Luther King of the world? Where are these people at? Where is Ralph Abernathy of the world? Where are they? Because they have people don't want to listen. They harass them, and just for standing up for principles that will help everyone. And so we have to, if we get away from this total cancel culture or everybody ignore it, I think people will be apt to come out there and share and direct.
Okay, we have another question.
Well, hi. I'm Trevelia. For those people who weren't here earlier, I'm an author, playwright, and I wanted to just share that I hear the blueprint when you speak. So you know how you talked about earlier the blueprint to Black Power. I hear it when you speak, and it might be you. It might be you to give that org chart for what we should do and create a movement. Because just like cancel culture was created, they're looking for the next thing. And until that next thing comes, then it'll be dominant, right? But I don't know if you hear what you're saying about creating something and then the different organizations to go underneath it. But because there's so many celebrities that come in here, there's so many politicians and pastors and people that come in here, you could call together a community and then discuss what you put together. Like literally put something physical together and then build on that because the reality is the answer's in you. I hear it. I clearly, I do. I hear it because it may be a thought, right? You're a thought leader. You really are. Like this environment is sustaining because the both of you truly, you're thought leaders. If you didn't, we wouldn't have the doc bookshop. We wouldn't have all of the things that came in here. And I know when you're in it and you're literally in it day to day, it's hard to see what you do for us. Truly, right? But you bring us out. And that is something that you have to realize and harness your power. I think a lot of times you have to let somebody see their power and they don't see their power because they're just running in the power. But you both are very powerful because you have the resources to create something that's bigger than both of you. And it takes one thought. Somebody came up with cancel culture because they was feeling some type of way and then it just flew. No, seriously, because if you're into cancel culture and you don't do the research, you don't look, you're just it's an emotion and we're an emotional society, but we also have a strong intellectual society that needs intellectuals to sit at the table and just open up and make a table. And you've been doing it for decades. The reality is now you could do it a little different, but you have the resources to bring people together and say, hey, what about considering this? Considering,
I'm taking Mike from Trevelia.
all right,
I'm gonna take the mic from Trevelia. I felt like something came with. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Sayona,
Lord, I'm okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My name's Tanya Baradaran. And there's some really great points that were brought up. How people are driven by the money, the need for real estate, right? Because there's wealth in business owning and in real estate, and the mobilization. I'm also Divine Nine as well, Sigma Gamma Rho. And I do think that our fraternities and sororities do fall short in stopping the strolling and the dancing and playing a bigger role in our communities. So I don't think that that's a terrible idea either. I think that we can do more because we talked about the education aspect. So my question is kind of twofold to you is like, what is it that we're asking for? Because I will tell you, they're trying to destroy our education system. They're trying to keep us stupid, you know? They're defunding and they're trying to put all of these roadblocks in our way. So I think another important part of this conversation is what is it that we are asking for? You know, is it the businesses coming back into our neighborhoods, the accessibility to real estate and building generational wealth? Is it making sure that we have funding within our schools? Because I heard another statistic this morning. If your kid in 8th grade isn't at Algebra 1, the likelihood of them being able to have any type of postgraduate success as far as trade and or college goes down like 80%, right? So this is a systematic um, roadblock that's really being put in front of us, and there isn't a lot of time. So I think at some point in time, whether we all meet here at the dock or whatever, we got to figure out what it is that we are asking for when we're going down there, because you got to be on the same page.
Real estate is the elephant in the room. Real estate investment, fair investment, equity, that's the elephant in the room. That's what makes or break businesses. What happened in 2008? The total market crash, failed. And everybody had blood on their hands. From the bondage room, from the investors, the private investors, the appraisals, the mortgage, everybody had blood on their hands when it came to the real estate. And now it's back again because they would rather raise rent instead of subsidize some of that cost for their investment so people can run businesses fairly, not to the chosen few that may own the private commercial properties, but then let their cousins come in and get cheap rent. And then they want to charge others high price rent. So who can control the real estate? Where are our cousins that say, you know what, I'm gonna subsidize this for you? And have this plaza have given African Americans the opportunity to operate retail space in their community. I can't hate the man that takes care of his family. But where's the one that's taking care of their family to make sure I own this commercial building? You've been here 18 years. Let's surround you with other businesses that think like you, that move like you, that understands you culturally, instead of businesses that want to exploit the people that are around you. You kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with you.
You kind of, we had a lot of, like you said, Julia said, we had a lot of people that come here. Somebody's watched that. Somebody's watching. And so, well, I want to be next to that business right there. Man, that business just bought in such and such. Well, how can I get in proximity to that? I had a hip hop author here. Why did we feel it was okay to open perpendicular? No, what's that angle? 45-degree angle? What is it? I don't know. 45, I don't know. Latitude, longitude, I don't know. 45-degree angle. It was okay to open up a liquor store. How did that get through? I'm trying to run my business. Somebody has to monitor the pop-ups. We got a liquor store right there. What do you need another one over here for? Because again, it's proximity to a hip hop artist that I had here. And the week before he was here, it was okay to, even though they didn't understand the culture at that time because the culture has shifted. So nobody really supported that business. But this is how other groups see you. It's one thing how we see ourselves, but it's another thing how another group sees you.
But there is things that we can do in our ask from a legislative perspective that gives us.
Subsidized lease. We got to get that subsidized for greedy realtors. That's what it comes down to, because that's the elephant, and that's not just a Black problem. That's a problem across the board. Because on the bookstore side, some great bookstores, booksellers. Yeah, we're all different in our own right. But there's some great bookstores I go to that are just, it's not all African American, they're just great stores. They have lost their store because, again, real estate, high leases.
Right.
The government should be able, we need to subsidize that or protection from really greedy real estate investors. The market crash, I'm gonna go back to that. The market crash, a lot of that is because of international investments. And if they want to see our nation fail, not only are we dealing with corporate greed, but we're dealing with international greed. We got fights on all fronts, you guys. It's everywhere. We conquered the corporate, then we got international people coming at us. So I don't know. I don't know, Greg, what's your solution? I don't know.
We gotta figure out the education piece too.
Yeah, all that, and we're trying to reinvent the wheel. Dr. Claude Anderson, he did it. He's already done it. All we had to do is work the system. Fine tune the system. I think somebody already said it. Fine tune the system. Learn from what he has done as a mayor. Learn from that in the contemporary age. Again, we're studying his book is contemporary. So even though I'm studying Dr. John Henrik Clark, I need to study the contemporary challenges that he had. So again, I could turn the page over and continue on instead of starting all over again. Because we don't know what we don't know. And historically, they didn't have a blueprint. We have several of them. And here's another one right here for contemporary times.
Okay, all right.
So remember, municipalities do enter into economic partnership with private enterprise. So you have a council person. We did it a lot in our downtown development. Did it on my watch. You said something that brought back a lot of memories that's in this book. I came into office in June of '07, and so you lay out all your plans. Having already been staffed, I knew all the plans, maintain continuity of plans that are existing to make sure those projects are done. And then I had all mine laid out, what I wanted to do. But I was going to convince the council, not just me, the council had to do it. Director of budget walks in the office, city manager walks in the office with the city attorney. And I said, oh Lord, I'm gonna shot someone. That's first thing crossed my mind. So that used to go on, you know what I'm talking about? I said, I'm being negative. So he said, Mr. Mayor, we got a problem. I said, what is it? He said, we have already projected and predicted based on our economic studies that there will be a bubble, the mortgage bubble will burst centered around the subprime lending. I said, how so? Well, I was familiar with the stats because I used to have to read them. And he just laid it out. 2 months later, CNN, Fox, and everybody was talking about it. He said, it's getting ready to burst. He said, we got to put all these projects on hold. And that's what we did, so we would not to lay people off. So when you said something about '08, that's in my book. I'm sitting there with all these things I've told people I'm going to do.
Oh, man.
Then now I had to figure out a way to make sure I articulate it and explain it while they'd be delayed. And we did. But anyway, my point is, we entered into, and they do it now, municipal private partnership. And you can deal with a bookstore.
Okay, a lot has been said
Okay.
and a lot has been shared. Okay. We are going to take a break. We need a mental break. Give our pen on hand. Let's give our pen on hand.
Thank you.
And thank y'all for answering the call. We're gonna hear some music. It's a soul fest. We gotta play some soul music.
Very good. Yeah, I'm impressed.
And we'll
About running the ball to the man.
mix a mingo, and then next will be Tony B. Shelton. She's gonna come and share some poetry with us. So stick around and hear Tony B. Shelton poetry. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
When I talk to him.
I used to work for an elected official, State Rep. Devon Davis,
Oh,
District 111.
man, that's my buddy.
Yeah,
Yes, indeed.
yeah, I worked for them for years.
Okay, give me your whole name.
Charles Beasley.
Beasley. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
I'm looking
so loaded, I was.
Yeah, I will talk to her one day next week.
Okay, yeah, you know, her and Claude.
Yeah, I
Chief
called
Staff,
her.
yeah.
Tony Rose,
Tony
Tony,
Rose.
but see, Tony Rose's dad,
Charles Rose.
well, Paul was 2 years under me. We all went to elementary school, high school together. His brother, Horace, was in my class. I knew her long in this world, there are all kinds of